On 23 June 2020, President Cyril Ramaphosa hosted the inaugural Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium. The attendees included influential local and international contributors and was streamed to the public on various social media platforms. The Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium, or SIDSSA, was established by the Infrastructure Office in the Presidency, headed by Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, as the culmination of a meeting in February 2020, during which the President brought together business associations, ministries, and financial institutions to discuss an inclusive approach to infrastructure delivery in the country. The aim of SIDSSA was to draw on the expertise and insights of sector specialists, technical and financial structuring experts, and policymakers in considering over 260 infrastructure projects across the public and private sectors. The current SIDSSA infrastructure pipeline aims to contribute to industrialization and job creation as envisaged in the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan and the Reimagined Industrial Strategy. The identified interventions will contribute to building a resilient economy by accelerating the delivery of vital infrastructure. More recently, government has formally established Infrastructure South Africa, or ISA, as a single point of entry for all projects in the country's infrastructure investment plan, which promotes a focused governance structure for infrastructure projects, programs, and investments. Infrastructure South Africa will be responsible for identifying, preparing, structuring, and packaging projects, initiating funding pathways, and providing strategic oversight of all strategic infrastructure projects and other related initiatives. In addition, ISA will also lead the preparation of the National Infrastructure Plan 2050, through which government will provide long-term direction to the built environment. The work program of ISA includes an infrastructure investment program, a credible infrastructure pipeline, infrastructure implementation fast-tracking, and public sector infrastructure financing. As part of a memorandum of agreement that ISA had signed with the Development Bank of Southern Africa and National Treasury, it established the Infrastructure Investment Committee, or IIC, to oversee the strategic direction of ISA activities. The IIC will be supported by the Infrastructure Investment Review Committee, IIRC, and the 8 ISA Technical Working Groups, or TWGs. To build on the ongoing productive engagements with development partners under several TWGs and others, ISA invited multilateral development banks and bilateral development financial institutions, collectively referred to as Development Financial Institutions, or DFIs, to work with the IIRC. The SIDSSA 2020 Steering Committee has developed into the new Development Partners Forum, or DPF, which functions in collaboration with the DFIs. The DPF will serve as an important platform for DFIs to support South Africa's infrastructure development agenda. The DPF will meet quarterly for ISA and the IIRC to gain independent perspectives from the DFIs on infrastructure-related issues. The DFIs have pledged their support to the ISA technical working groups. The DPF will look at the entire project cycle and support the development or strengthening of guidelines and methodologies to identify, prepare, appraise, prioritize and structure infrastructure projects for financing, including public-private partnerships, the development or strengthening of monitoring and evaluation, reporting and accountability frameworks, information flow and availability, and collaboration and coordination among infrastructure players, and capacity building and the sharing of international best practices. The DPF also supports ISA and the IIRC with advisory services and analytics for the overall infrastructure project lifecycle, specific infrastructure-related issues, and capacity building and knowledge sharing in the infrastructure space. The second SIDSSA on 6 and 7 October 2021, with the theme Quality Infrastructure for Development, Recovery and Inclusive Growth, aims to engage an even wider range of stakeholders and to revitalize the pipeline. The SIDSSA 2021 pipeline includes over 55 projects worth approximately 595 billion rand in investment value, with over 538,000 employment opportunities. SIDSSA 2021, Quality Infrastructure for Development, Recovery and Inclusive Growth.
Seamlessly connecting people is our mission to South Africa, today and tomorrow. We commit to advancing South Africa's digital future as we stay true to our ethos. Through our diverse business portfolio, OpenServe's expansive network, Gyro's mast and towers footprint, and Telkom Mobile's broadband network, we have invested over 8.4 billion rand. Digital infrastructure creates a harmonized environment and closes the digital gap by expanding into underserved areas. OpenServe is South Africa's leading wholesale provider of communication facilities, services and solutions, both locally and internationally, boasting South Africa's largest fiber network footprint of 170,000 kilometers. Gyro is a leading independent communication tower operator, catering for the telecommunications industry. Telkom Mobile is the third largest and fastest growing mobile network operator, servicing over 15 million customers with data-led propositions. As a result, we keep people connected and productive, whether at the office or from the comfort of their homes, ensuring that no South African is left behind. Through the Telkom Foundation, we continue to deliver and improve education and learning by giving learners and students access to excellent educational resources from the classroom and their homes, regardless of their background. Our approach to digital innovation goes beyond having data.
If I can have your attention, please, if you're still waiting to be seated, please may we be seated for the last part of our program. We've almost come to the end of day 2 of this year's Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium. It's been an incredible experience listening to how excited leaders from the business and government community have been about infrastructure investment in South Africa, the importance of public-private partnerships, our growth potential, and rebuilding our country. Thank you to our panelists for your insight. Thank you to our audience for your time and attention. It's been such a pleasure and an honor being your program director today. I'd like to please ask the Minister in the Presidency, Mr. Mondli Gungubele, to make his way to the stage to come and close the symposium for us. A round of applause as he makes his way up, please. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Program Director, members of the executive present, participants to SIDSSA 2021, distinguished guests, government officials, ladies and gentlemen, we have over the past 2 days in this second edition symposium engaged on sustainable infrastructure development for South Africa. We met under the theme, Quality Infrastructure for Development, Recovery and Inclusive Growth, where government departments as well as development financing agencies, private sector sponsors, investors, and partners came together to discuss ways to grow South Africa together. As hosted by the Investment and Infrastructure Office in the Presidency of the Republic of South Africa, the second edition of the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium, or SIDSSA 21, focused on three focus areas as emphasized by the President Cyril Ramaphosa in our opening session earlier today, which have pertinent relevance to our country and to sustainable infrastructure delivery, namely development, recovery, and inclusive growth. Ladies and gentlemen, as announced during the symposium, 29 out of 50 projects gazetted in 2020 were reported to be in implementation stages, from tendering and procurement to construction phases, with the total investment value of these projects estimated around 119 billion out of 340 billion. Additionally, 55 projects were presented during the pipeline series with a total value of around 595 billion with an estimated funding gap of 441 billion. Our breakaway session focused on the National Infrastructure Plan and ensuring continued public input into the draft National Infrastructure Plan published August 2021. Further focus was placed on the infrastructure big wins, infrastructure financing, bridging the urban and rural divide, and the digital economy. The engagements were robust, with some specific recommendations being put forward for Infrastructure South Africa to consider for review and implementation. To achieve sustainable development goals and National Development Plan infrastructure goals will cost over 6 trillion between now and 2040. As at 2021, we estimate that the finance gap that needs to be closed will be just over 2 trillion. Ladies and gentlemen, this calls for private collaboration to unlock the investment potential, particularly within the context of stretched government budget and increasing infrastructure needs. In this regard, we have operationalized the Infrastructure Fund, a blended finance platform that packages projects and ensures they can leverage private sector finance. An initial project pipeline has been approved and will transform the way economic and social infrastructure projects are delivered in the country. In the next year, focus will be on augmenting the SIDSSA methodology to include economic and statistical modeling framework called the prioritization model to deploy infrastructure investments to regions, revitalize towns and communities where infrastructure is needed the most. Priority will be given to areas that have received less support in the past from an infrastructure investment view. We will also add portfolio management function to optimize opportunities of the project pipeline, establish the SIDSSA Center of Excellence as thought leadership on infrastructure research, socio-economic impact assessment, spatial analysis, focusing on economic analysis, as well as ex-post analysis on infrastructure project. As government, we will continue to work with key role players on infrastructure, financing, and funding space, with more emphasis on project preparation funding that is required to progress projects to procurement and implementation, finding sustainable and long-term innovative financing mechanism for bulk infrastructure and social infrastructure delivery. Additionally, we will continue to provide oversight on the infrastructure fund to unlock private sector financing and deliver on our strategic integrated projects. We have played a significant role in terms of the policy and regulatory landscape, as evidenced by the gazetting of the Draft National Infrastructure Plan 2015. In the year to come, we will be finalizing the country investment strategy that positions South Africa as a key African investment destination of choice by leveraging quality foreign direct investment and domestic direct investment into South Africa in a well-coordinated manner and supported by quality institutions and robust economic networks. As government, we express our gratitude to all our partners, from development finance institutions, the private sector, and all other stakeholders who contributed to the successful sitting of the second edition. We thank His Excellency President Ramaphosa for gracing the symposium earlier today, outlining government's vision for sustainable infrastructure development in South Africa. We also thank the Head of Investment and Infrastructure Office at the Presidency, Dr. Hosiens Ramokhupa, and the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Ms. Patricia Tilley, for leading Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium South Africa 2021 with aplomb. Lastly, we also thank our various sponsors who continue to work with government on forming these strategic partnerships. I thank you and safe travels back to your respective destination. Sicela into ba xa sesinibulela ngolu hlobo nihambe kahle, inkosi inisikelele. Thank you.